Hey there. Everybody loves to talk about the glow up, but nobody talks about the messy middle. And it can get messy. Listen, the in between moments where you've left the old, but you haven't yet arrived at the new can get messy. So, we're pivoting today, and we're going to talk about five things that nobody tells you, but you need to know when life is throwing you a pivot. All right, let's get at it. Hey, for anybody who is meeting me for the very first time, my name is Child Jones. I'm an expat coach and lifestyle consultant who specializes in helping people have a softer life. But, baby, listen, I haven't always had a soft life. And matter of fact, I'm not in the middle of a soft life right now. So, I thought it best to give you the real. So, if you've been following me, I have lived in South Korea, I've lived in Mexico, and I recently was living in Malaysia. All right, it's August. I left Malaysia in May, and I spent 2.5 months in Mexico. And I didn't expect I did not expect to be in Mexico for 2.5 months. That is for sure. Damn sure. Okay. Now I am currently in Virginia. Haven't lived in the United States in over like 4 or 5 years now. Actually, got about almost 5.5 years. And I didn't anticipate being here. But the truth is, I'm here and I'm not sure when I'm going to be leaving. So, life has thrown me a pivot and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. But guess what? When life throws you a pivot, you do that. You just that do just that pivot, right? So the one thing that nobody really tells you about a pivot is that grieving your old identity is so real. Listen, when you pivot, you're not just changing careers, relationships, cities. You're shedding an identity that you once worked really hard to obtain and build, and now you'll miss part of that. And even the pieces that you didn't really like or they didn't even serve you, it is normal to grieve. Don't get that confused with failure. When I left Malaysia, I was certain that I had a plan. I was going to Mexico, handle business, meet my lawyers, do a thing. And then 2, 3 weeks later, I was going to be out. I was going to drop my son off with his father. And then I was going to head to Spain. Baby, I had a plan. I had a plan. I knew what direction I was going in. However, a lot happened in Mexico. Everything went awry. I ended up being broke and I had to pivot. The money I was expecting that was coming from several different clients, as well as the refunds that I was thinking I was going to get from Malaysia, did not happen. And found myself in a situation where everything, I mean, my phone dropped in the ocean, uh, lost all my deposits. I when I say everything happened that couldn't even be imagined to happen, happened. So at that particular point, I really didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to keep going because I couldn't just stay stuck. I had to have another plan. And I normally don't work off plan B because I'm like, listen, if I have a contingency plan, I'm not going to give my all to the plan A. And so I tend not to try to have a contingency plan. But when I was moving forward and trying to figure things out, because, I'm a single mom and a lot falls on my shoulders. So if I'm not happy and I'm not moving, then I have this child who now is not happy and it's not moving forward, right? And so you have to kind of, be able to pivot quickly. So I the support I thought I had, I didn't really have. It's like people just start shedding. And that tends to happen when you are jumping timelines or shifting realities or shedding identities. Things like this happen, and you have to be able to go with the flow. And I couldn't get in my feelings about certain things. I had to have a level head, and some things hurt because I was confused by how people were coming, and I was also sitting with myself and learning new things about myself because I'm a fighter. So when things get bad, I'm like, all right, no problem, back against the wall, let's go. But at this particular point, I was seeing my spirit was like, don't fight no more. You don't have to fight. I got this. Like, you don't look like you got it right now. Spirit, you don't look like you got it. And I need you to have it right now. So I was learning how to shed the identity I had, especially living in Malaysia. And I had things going for me. I had a community I was building. I was doing all these things, and that wasn't there anymore. And when you are pivoting and you're trying to shift at the same time, you can get stuck thinking I'm failing or this is not working when indeed it is working. It's just not working the way you thought it should work. And that's where you have to have give yourself grace. You have to have patience with yourself and know that you are on the right path, but you're shifting because you asked for certain things. Like for instance, prior to me leaving Malaysia, I was doing a whole lot of manifestations. I was really deep into all of my manifestations, and I was waking up, going to sleep, doing all the things, right? And I was manifesting the very thing that I wanted. That's why I thought I was going to Spain. I was like, my new love. Everything is gonna happen the way I thought it was. But things happen just not the way I thought it should happen. And I had to give myself grace because I was wanting things to show up like I had planned them to show up. And yet, old me was falling apart because I didn't need that part to go with me to the next level. And I had to lose some people, I had to lose money, I had to lose all these different things because they didn't serve me anymore. And that is the most difficult aspect. And if you get stuck there, then you're not really moving forward. And you have to be able to understand when that shift is occurring and what to take with you. Because otherwise, you can be like a bag lady carrying baggage that no longer serves you. And you can't take everything with you. So, what I advise you to do is to let go and to really get into that moment and allow, as the good people say in church, let go and let God. So when you do that, then doors start opening, money starts coming, people start showing up, all the things that you need, you get those. But you have to give yourself grace and time to grieve the old identity because it's no longer serving you. And now be able to walk into the new identity, the things that you called forward. They're showing up. But if you're not in the right mindset and you haven't done some grieving and some allowing things to fall away, then you'll get stuck. Number two, this is kind of difficult. Um, your circle will shift as well. So when your circle begins to shift, that's when some friends will clap from the sidelines, others will quietly distance themselves. It's not always personal. Sometimes your growth highlights where they're stuck, and that's okay. Pivots naturally recalibrate your circle. Everybody cannot go with you. I had to learn this a long time ago because I don't keep a big circle around me. I keep tried and true. If you're not tried and true, I say deuce to you. Okay. So, but it was very difficult for me at first because I've always had a very close knit friend group, and they're like my sisters that I never had. I'm the oldest child. I'm 3 years older than my brother, and then I'm 13 years older than my oldest youngest sister. If that makes sense. And 20 years older than my youngest sister. And so it was me. And I didn't have any sisters. And so when I did get sister friends, I always felt like they are going to go the test of time. And they did not. Some of them, I believe in season, reason, or lifetime. And a lot of them had seasonal expiration dates. And so it would hurt sometimes because these were like bonds that I thought was thick as thieves, but they all weren't going with me. And it's very disappointing sometimes. But as you shift and you grow and you pivot into a new direction, everybody cannot go with you because everybody does not have the capabilities to be by your side at the next level. Why? Because some of them have not done the work necessary for them to be comfortable in their skin at the next level. And so you have to be willing to leave certain people. And that can be very difficult. And my advice is to be clear about who you are and clear about where you want to go. And when you start seeing that there are people that, because what can happen is you'll end up getting a bunch of leeches that are baggage. And again, we don't want baggage. We are not bag ladies. The only baggage that we want to carry is the luggage that is going to board the planes that we're boarding. But other than that, we don't do it. We don't do it. We say goodbye to baggage. And you can love people from a distance. And you have to learn that if you are going to be able to pivot and pivot with poise. So that's number two. Let's get to number three. Now, everybody always talks about the blow up, the glow up, the having the best of the best. But guess what? I hate to break it to you, but it costs before it pays. Listen, pivots usually come with a dip, an incline. The money may slow and may be slow to come, slow to develop, but the opportunity may dry up for a moment. That doesn't mean that you're off track. It means that you're reinvesting in new direction before the return comes. So, like I said, I ended up in Mexico. I had a plan. I had some 30, 60, 90-day plans. None of that worked out. Like it all went left real quick. And the money, the clients that I thought was in motion ended up not being in motion. And so I pretty much lost everything. Everything. I mean, things started costing more than the income was coming in. And I had to shift. I had to pivot. With that, I was like, what the hell is happening? Here I am. I didn't planted all these seeds. I've been watering them. What's going on? And I had to let things go, recalibrate. And the money was real funny. It was laughable actually. It was like, baby, why my bank account say $2.85? I'm a grown ass woman, like grown. So what are we doing? And I'm accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So I had to get real still. But $2.85 will steal you. I trust and believe. I know. I know. But you don't stay where you are if you really have a plan. You just have to get still enough to hear the voices that tell you, or the voice, not the voices, but the voice that's telling you what direction to go. And stuff happens. But if you don't want to get stuck there, you have to be willing to make a pivot. And sometimes that means losing it all. Sometimes it means shifting where you just don't have all the things that you are accustomed to having, and you just recalibrate and then get a new plan so that you can move forward. All right, let's talk about number four. So, number four can be difficult. Confusion is part of clarity. Oh, that girl. Yes, again. Okay, you'll feel lost second guessing yourself, and even want to run back to where you came from or what's familiar, don't do it. The fog you're in is part of the process. Part of the process. Not the process, but part of the process. And your old map is not going to work when you have new directions. Let me say that again. Your old map will not work when you have new directions. When you have shifted and pivoted to go to a new place, if you are trying to use old compass, an old map, old directions, not gonna work. So keep moving, and clarity will catch up with you. You have to move forward. And listen, there was a point a few weeks ago that I was like, you know what? I can go back to Malaysia. Um, I know I can go ahead. I know I'm gonna live comfortably. I know the cost of living is much more affordable. Food is more affordable, more healthier. Um, I can get back in the game. I already have an established network. Let's go. That's not the right direction because the things that I'm asking for are in front of me, not behind me. And it's so easy for us to go backwards to something that used to serve us, but no longer serve us. And what happens is when you go backwards and you go back to something that's comfortable, it gets real uncomfortable because that's not where you're supposed to be. And you can't plant seeds in um, unhealthy soil. It don't work. So it's best to keep moving forward. It's best to get still enough so that you understand where the clarity is coming from because noise and a lot of outside noise and people trying to put things in your head about what you should be doing, how you should be doing, how you should show up is only going to confuse you more. So get still. All right. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this. Number five. Number five is the new you. New you will surprise you. It will also scare you, but the new you will surprise you. The woman or man that you are becoming is on the other side of the pivot. So the stronger that you show up, the softer, more aligned, you'll be able to step into your dream quicker. You don't become someone else. You become more of yourself. And that is where the win actually is. You have to be willing to lose the old identity. You have to be willing to shake off the stuff that you've been carrying and start to actually align with where you're going. You are becoming all of the things that you've always asked for. And with that, and when that happens, and how that happens is when you get clear about where you want to be. And so you will surprise yourself. You'll surprise yourself on how strong you are. You'll surprise yourself on what you can accomplish and do by yourself. You will surprise yourself about who you will attract in your life that will show up for you because you are becoming someone new, more efficient, with a plan, without a plan. And you just have to be open for the new opportunities. These are things that will get you stuck if you don't like really embrace them. It costs too much to go backwards. It costs too much to stay where you currently are and not grow and develop and become the person that you truly want to be. And so I am calling you that if you're going through a pivot and you are trying to figure out your next step, is to actually get really still and quiet and call that thing that you want into existence. If you're pivoting right now, I know that you're not crazy. I don't want you thinking that you are a failure, that just because life is happening, life is lifing, and it's not really what you think that you've called into existence, you have. You're just in the process. Drop a pivot in the comments if you feel this and share this with another woman or man who needs to be reminded that they're not alone because you are not. And you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to feel crazy and feel like you're all out of alignment because what you're doing is calibrating so that you can get to the next level. And sometimes that requires that you slow down, that you recalibrate, and then you move forward. Until next time, please understand that you have to find your flow, follow your freedom, and always drift deep. And if you are interested in getting a free consultation with me and talking about your next pivot to the next promise, let me know. And you can find all my information in the description. Until next time, peace.